What the hell? Wait, my positioning. Wait.
Are you serious?
No, give me a few more. I'm gonna fix it.
All the setup work is going to be done with the left hand. Excellent.
Ever wonder how the pros seem to miraculously save impossible balls with a smooth, effortless, one-handed backhand? Well, it might look like magic, but it's actually built on a few key fundamentals that amateur tennis players often overlook. In this video, Paul Tornquist, director of tennis for the West Vancouver Tennis Club for over 15 years, breaks down the one-handed backhand, step by step, so you can add this beautiful shot to your game and start winning points you never thought you could reach.
How does someone choose if they should do the single hand versus the double-handed backhand?
Mostly by feel. I always recommend to older students that we use a single-handed backhand because a double-hander has to work 30% harder than a single-handed. So, for example, the spacing with a single-hander will be out here in front, whereas a double-hander, my spacing is going to be a little bit closer to the body. A single-hander is much easier on the lower back, where there's a lot more twisting on the double-hander, resulting in a lot more back issues. And in tennis, they say there's no more single-handers, but I say they're all single-handers because every professional, when they're in trouble, will always go to a single-handed slice because it is easier. If you have the time and the speed to set up, by all means, take it as a double-hander, but as an older player with limited ability and reach, then I would definitely recommend a single-hander.
Right. Just before you start the single-handed lesson, what are the advantages of using the double-hander?
Advantages of a double-hander is that you can create a lot more power if you're late, especially on the return of serve. So if I'm returning serve and I get caught late, I can use this left hand to generate a lot of pace, where it's a lot harder to generate pace on the single-hander when you're late. So definitely on the return of serve for top players, the double-hander will have its benefits. But again, if you look at the club player, I say everyone, when they reach advanced age, we're going to be playing tennis like this. All right. And you'll see no one really over the age of, 80 using a double-handed backhand. You'll see that they're all single-handed players. So that's the future.
It makes a lot of sense. And one thing I feel for double-handers is there's a lot of rotation on my core. And if I don't have really good technique, I'm over-tensing and causing injuries. Yeah. So for amateurs, it makes sense. Like single-handed probably is even better too.
I would say for older amateurs, you're young, and you're just starting off. Primarily, I will definitely teach the double-hander, just because of strength issues. So if you look at all our junior lessons, they're all double-handers.
Do you want to see what my single-handers look like right now?
Absolutely.
I'll just try my best. This is not really a shot I know how to hit. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
So let's take a look. We always want to observe before we start teaching.
What the hell? Wait, my positioning. Wait.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. No, give me a few more. I'm gonna fix it.
Let's start off with the proper positioning. We always want to start off with our forehand and backhand. We want to do the setup work with our non-dominant hand.
Okay.
So all the setup work is going to be done with the left hand. Okay. And what I'd recommend is that we hold the throat with the left hand. See? And I'd recommend you put one finger on the string here. So I'll call this the third eye or your computer, because this gives you a greater sensation of the racket angle. So when we have to transition grips, we want to have that good feel. And we're always using our fingertips here because we have the most nerve endings on the fingertips here. So we're going to put our fingertips like right there, right? And we can hold it up like this, like a tripod. You see how balanced that is? If you actually put your hand down a little lower, you can see it's not quite as balanced.
Right, and I have to squeeze a lot harder.
Yes, so we want to use the fingertips here, and I recommend you put one finger on the string. So the left hand's going to do all the setup work. And you're going to see the left hand's going to set the angle up, and my right hand's going to hit. The proper angle is that we set the angle perpendicular to the ground.
That was smooth. So explain to me what you're doing right now.
All the setup work is in the left hand, and I want to set the left hand with the angle perpendicular to the ground right here.
The angle perpendicular. So, this one, 90 degrees of where we're trying to hit.
To the ground.
Okay, what do you mean by straight to the ground?
You see my edge? It's pointing downwards.
Where it counts as the edge?
The racket edge, right here.
The side, okay.
Yeah, right down here. Just put right at the ground. So you see like this up right there. So 2 hands on the racket, and you see that my left hand is pulling it back. It's finding the proper angle. Once I find the proper angle, now I just have to hit. So it's all about setting up the angle. So I set the angle up, and then I just swing. So if we set up square here, and I make contact, I want to make contact right there. I want to square up the ball. Now, if I want to hit a slice, I'm going to open the face. You see, that's where these fingertips are finding the angle. There's my slice. There's my topspin. Slice, topspin. Right. So I want to square it up right there.
So your setup determines what ball you will be hitting. And all I have to do is come up and square it.
Okay, yeah. And then you're going to separate the arms.
Well, my position is off.
Let's find it. Let's just get the setup right first. There you go. Left hand sets up. Right hand hits. Left hand sets up. And hit. Good. Excellent.
Right now, I know I'm not hitting super well, but this left hand thing, I can tell now when I hit it too high, it's because my setup was slightly too high or too low when I hit it down.
When you're hitting hard, there's only a difference of about 1 or 2 degrees between hitting the baseline and the fence. So that's why we have the fingertips around the throat doing all the setup work for us. Excellent. So, wow.
This left hand fingertip thing really helped me find the feel of where my rack face is supposed to be.
50% of the work is the setup. So we're always setting up with our non-dominant hand.
Right.
We don't want to be setting up with this hand and be all right hand dominant. And, it's preventing injury. And there's a flow between the two hands. You can see my right hand's kind of off the racket.
What do you mean by right hand off the racket? Oh, you're not yet gripping.
It's all the left hand's doing all the setup work for us. Left hand sets up, right hand hits.
That's very fascinating. It's kind of like a two-handed backhand, but we're transferring from left to right.
It's almost like, archery, or, we're setting the angle up with the left hand, set it up, and then just release. If our setup's wrong, it's not going to be very great. It's not a good building block. So that's really the first step.
Is this common sense or no?
Should be. Yeah. If you watch a lot of the pro players, and if you watch it very slowly, you'll see when they're taking the racket back that their fingers are slightly off the racket. You can see that all the setup work is done in the non-hitting hand.
This setup thing you're talking about, is this a basic in tennis that everyone knows?
It should be. I mean, it's the fundamental, like how are we going to hold the racket? You can see when I'm talking right now, I'm always talking with the racket in my left hand.
Okay.
If you watch most of the professional players, if you go watching Wimbledon or US Open, watch the way they walk. They're always going to walk with the racket in the non-hitting hand. So they're keeping their hitting hand relaxed all the time. And that's going to prevent a lot of injury. We don't want to be so right-sided or left-sided dominant. So it's a real transition between the two hands. Another little tip here, because now you got the setup work, okay? So now I'm going to finish with the racket above my head, and I'm going to say, hide the logo. So when I finish here, my chest is still pointed to this direction right here, right? If I rotate here, I'm just going to rotate off the ball here. I'll show you what happens if I rotate my upper body. You see, it's not very good. Now, if I'm going to keep my chest to the side, and you see my finish is above my head. This is really good, actually. You look like you know what you're doing now.
Wow.
Good. Excellent. We're just staying square here. My chest is to the side. Some students will say, yeah, but if you watch, Wawrinka or Shapovalov, they're finishing all the way around, which is not really true. If you watch it slowly, in slow motion, they're going to stay completely still with the chest here. And then after the swing, it's rotated just because of the sheer force. But the ball's already left their strings. They got into this point, and then they open up a little bit, and you see that in fast motion, and it looks like they're rotating, but they're really keeping that chest right to the side, and you see it's all in the shoulder work.
And you'll see this in golf, and I say this because I know a lot of our audience cross over between these sports. It's the same thing. It looks like they're rotating really fast, but if you put it in slow motion, it's always there. They're staying down here until they're done, and then it goes up.
Now, if you can start from the very beginning, the ready position that's neutral, you're not waiting on a backhand.
Ooh. I need some more setup time. I'm not used to the setup.
That's fantastic. I didn't like those last ones.
What was wrong?
Using your elbow. We don't want to create tennis elbow. So, a lot of people will transition to a double-handed because they got some shoulder problems or some injuries. So you see, if you bend here from the elbow, that's a recipe for tennis elbow. You see, I'm just moving my shoulder. You actually watch, I'm separating my hands. You see, I'm just timing the separation, and it's all in the shoulder. The shoulder is the stronger muscles. This is a joint. So we don't want to finish this way. just let your shoulder go. What's really brilliant, actually, is when you got the right setup and you keep the chest to the side, you can just swing away. You'll never miss. I find it's like a very easy shot, and that we're using the shoulder, not the elbow, and just let it go. Make sure the left hand does the setup.
Quick pause, we do things differently here. We don't sell courses and we don't hide great coaching behind paywalls because everything we teach on this channel stays completely free and that's never changing. If you want to help keep it that way, join our YouTube memberships where you'll get access to our private community, member perks, and you'll be directly supporting free education for people everywhere. Now back to the video.
So I'm not applying topspin.
Well, you actually had topspin before, but now you're adding another ingredient, which you probably shouldn't.
I think what I did before versus now. Before I was using less shoulder, but I was using more wrist flip.
It looked like you were moving your wrists through. Do you see what I'm doing here? So look, my hand's not moving and I'm just using the shoulder. So I'll give you a demonstration what it looked like to me. It was like it looked like you were trying to add wrist to me. It was like you're coming here and finishing like this and you're just flipping it over. Whereas my wrist is laid back, I'm just moving my shoulder.
Shoulder, and that's what creates the topspin.
Topspin's from really going, you can see getting underneath and finishing low to high. I just want to see solid contact first before we start getting into spin.
Don't get fancy.
So I think I only got 5 balls left here. Can you make 5 in a row?
Okay, you want me, what counts as making one?
In the singles court. So just set up their angle. That's what we talked about at the beginning. Keep your chest to the side. This is fantastic. 4, last one.
Oh, lucky.
That was 5 in a row. That was pretty good, actually. I was a little bit, I was pretty shocked. And you know what? You created topspin just naturally, just by actually just getting underneath the ball and finishing higher. I find that sometimes is a recipe for disaster when we're teaching beginners topspin balls, and then they start thinking they have to do something fancy with their wrists and adding all this, sometimes the elbow in here. And it's just coming from the shoulder. Again, the shoulder, the strong part of the arms. So I was going to ask you, what do you think is a more difficult shot to hit biomechanically, a forehand or a backhand?
I would say biomechanically, for consistency, it is forehand.
Forehand's a much more difficult shot. And I can show you that a forehand, as we set up here, comes and crosses the whole body. Whereas the backhand comes.
Best tennis coach in BC. There we go. We have the real estate answer now.
So you can see that it's just staying on this side of the body. All right. Even a double hander is generally staying, it's going to rotate a little bit. Whereas this forehand's crossing the whole body. So you'll see a lot of times, you're not going to see a lot of winners on the backhand, but not a lot of errors. Whereas the forehands, the big shot, you'll see a lot of winners. Sometimes it goes astray. There's a lot of errors. Most people will feel more comfortable on a forehand side because these muscles are 3 times stronger than these back muscles. So now we have a bigger stroke with stronger muscles. That's why we want to dominate with the forehand side. So on the backhand, you want to be super consistent. If you look at most professional matches, it's an 80-20. It's 80% forehands and 20% backhands.
Great lesson. I mean, it's great. Okay, let's do a summary here. I mean, I'm super happy.
Oh, great.
I was never able to hit backhands before because I think it's I didn't understand fundamentally everything you said about positioning, about what I don't need to do so much. I used to think like amateurs, like I create topspin by rotating my wrist, body.
Even on the forehand, people in general, like in life, we're just doing too much and we tend to overcomplicate things. So we try to keep it really, really simple. And I find that's the most effective.
If you guys enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out Paul and the West Vancouver Tennis Club in the description down below.